We've all heard of today's billionaires, business tycoons like Musk, Bezos, or Gates that have insane wealth and are richer than everyone else in the world combined. Investors and professionals throughout the world are familiar with these names, but there was one tycoon who could stand up to them all and is actually regarded as the richest American to have ever lived. Who was it? It was John D. Rockefeller, of course, the greatest businessman of all time. But how did he get to be the guy with an estimated net worth of $400 billion in today's money? To find out, we need to dig deeper into his humble beginnings. Let's dive right in. Rockefeller was a unique guy, and any one of you young businessmen or women can learn from him. He was totally self-made and had a blend of relentless business strategies, tactical genius, and a love for philanthropy. When Rockefeller was 12 years old, he had saved $50, or around $1,400 in today's money. At the suggestion of his mother, he borrowed $50 from a nearby farmer at 7% interest, repayable after 1 year. Rockefeller discovered the power of interest around this time. At this time, he was beginning to get the idea that it was a good thing to let money be his servant and not make himself a slave to it. Rockefeller was famous for being a very serious kid who rarely ever smiled. But we bet he smiled after he saw all those racks coming in. Rockefeller was a talented bookkeeper at an early age due to his past experience creating loans and selling small products. He spent months knocking on doors looking for work, pitching business owners on how his bookkeeping services would help them save money. After months of looking, on September 26, 1855, he took a job as a bookkeeper at Hewitt & Tuttle, a produce brokerage company earning 50 cents a day. From that point, Rockefeller kept a log of all his expenses that he called a Ledger A in order to live paycheck to paycheck when he was still a young professional. He carefully examined each bill and jumped on any mistakes, no matter how small. Rockefeller stood out from a young age because of the carelessness and mismanagement of his older friends. At this point, his meticulous, methodical approach to problem solving was more valued than his bright and fiery mind. Even as a rich man, Rockefeller was known to go to extreme lengths to repay pennies. Well, he made money by managing an amazing company, which was important for his financial success. The best companies outperform their rivals, not just slightly, but by huge, huge margins. Businesses that can increase their profits and multiply investor money can support the performance of their share prices for years to come, making them one of the safest and most reliable paths to successful investing. A strong business model is usually the cornerstone of history's most successful businesses. In the case of Rockefeller's Standard Oil, it was owning the choke point, aka the critical intersection of the ecosystem where suppliers and customers meet. It's a dependable business strategy that has effectively given shareholders of the company insane profits. If the names Chevron, Conoco, ExxonMobil, or Amoco ring a bell, you're already aware of the legacy of Rockefeller's company. The Standard Oil Trust, an incredibly powerful energy giant with operations in infrastructure, distribution, retail, storage, transportation, and production that affect people and companies all over the world. Owning the choke point, maintaining low pricing, leveraging and sharing scale, embracing technology, consistently inventing, empowering staff, decentralizing, aligning management, expanding the market, avoiding debt, promoting internal competition, and exploiting tailwinds are just as important for investors now as they were more than a century ago. So pay attention to this next bit. The finest at the lowest price was Rockefeller's objective after 20 years in the oil business. His Standard Oil Company had already seized 90% of American oil refining and reduced the cost from 58 cents to 8 cents per gallon. In addition to being icons of quality, his beautiful horses, groomed like the late Queen of England, carried blue oil barrels around the cities of America. Get this, not only were customers picking Standard Oil over the rivals, but they also preferred it over electricity, coal, kerosene, and whale oil. Thanks to this, Rockefeller became the richest man in American history as millions of people used Standard Oil to light up their houses for 1 cent per hour. His early life didn't exactly seem to be turning him into a potential billionaire because his father was a street vendor who usually had trouble making ends meet. His mother raised 6 children while she stayed at home. They traveled all throughout upstate New York, living in Richest, Moravia, and Oswego before settling in Cleveland, Ohio. Rockefeller didn't have a fancy house or expensive outfits made by Dior, but his family life was solid. His mother taught him to put God first in his life, to be honest, and to serve others. His father taught him how to make money and save it. All those values are what actually helped him become rich. But the secret sauce was savings. Rockefeller was always trying to find ways to save money. For instance, he built his refineries perfectly so he could skip insurance. He also hired his own plumber, which reduced the cost of labor, pipes, and plumbing supplies by almost half. When Rockefeller acquired his own white oak timber tracts, his own kiln to dry the wood, and his own wagons and horses to transport it to Cleveland, he was able to reduce Cooper's $2.50 a barrel price to 96 cents. He created the barrels there using machinery, hooped them, cemented them together, and painted them blue. Rockefeller and Andrews quickly became Cleveland's top refiners. They reformed in 1870 with William Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller's brother, and Henry Flagler, a Presbyterian minister's son. This was when they named their company Standard Oil. They invested the profits and savings under Rockefeller's direction into more modern hardware. They hired chemists as their production climbed, and they created 300 byproducts from each barrel of oil. These included anesthetics, different lubricating oils, paint and varnish, and more. Railroad refunds were another source of financial savings. The New York Central, the Erie, and the Pennsylvania, 3 of the main railroads in the East, all wanted to carry oil and were prepared to offer discounts or refunds to major shippers. Rockefeller was in a great place to save money for himself and the railroad because he was the nation's largest oil refiner. He committed to delivering 60 carloads of oil each day and to handling all of the loading and unloading. The New York Central's Commodore Vanderbilt was happy to provide Rockefeller with the highest discount he ever gave to a shipper in exchange for the opportunity to get the most punctual, efficient, and regular deliveries. When smaller oilmen complained about rate favoritism, Vanderbilt's representatives gladly offered the same discount to anybody else who would give him the same volume of business. Unfortunately, nobody else qualified for Standard Oil's discount since no other refiner was as efficient as Rockefeller. Along with his amazing productivity, these discounts made it impossible for the majority of refiners to compete, and kerosene's price decreased from 58 to 26 cents per gallon between 1865 and 1870. Although the majority of Cleveland's refiners faded away during these years, Rockefeller saw profits every single year. Of course, there was jealousy involved. Wouldn't you be jealous if a student from college got the new Corvette and an insane discount? We sure would. By learning from brilliant businessmen like Rockefeller who started from nothing, we can learn about the elements of success and find new investment possibilities. Although economies and technologies change throughout time, the business models that define successful businesses like Standard Oil can last for decades or even centuries. Since Standard Oil's prime, a lot of companies have successfully taken control of the choke point we talked about. When the mafia was in charge of New York's concrete industry in the 1980s, they were aware of the huge benefits that came with using this business strategy. Every new business was charged a tax of 1% to 2%, and getting authorization to build involved speaking with the mob. In more recent times, we've seen a large number of businesses monopolize industry choke points. Because of their capital-light nature, some tech businesses like SpaceX might also have longer life cycles thanks to first-mover advantages, increasing returns, and winner-take-all dynamics. The holy grail of making money is finding a company that can generate money over a long period of time, which is what Elon Musk is doing too. One of Charlie Munger's favorite quotes is, "There are some fundamental models out there that don't need the type of skill that quantum mechanics does. You only need to truly understand a few basic concepts." One of them is the choke point. Take the example of Rockefeller as an example of what you should do to make your business successful and get that bread. Making money isn't hard if you do it right. That's a wrap for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content just like this.